How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto anime. We're going to be covering episode 191 in today's review, and this involves Kawaki escaping from the lab and Sumire catching up with him. So how was this episode? Well, before we get into the review, if you like this type of content and you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alrighty, on to the review. So Kawaki has escaped to a nearby town to Katase's lab. There are police that are pursuing him, Sumire went after him, and Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki are also pursuing him as well. Kawaki, on the other hand, he's weakened. He's losing a lot of blood from Nue's attack. He's also starving, so his arm isn't regenerating fast enough, so he's completely weakened and in a weakened state. But he escapes to the nearby town. He needs some food, but he doesn't want to cause a commotion because the police are already there pursuing him. And if he causes a scene, yeah, there's going to be some trouble. So he has to be a little discreet about it. He actually tries to get some food from some garbage, which, ew. But if you're that desperate, you're that desperate. Anyways, Kawaki finds some bread that this guy dropped off and is about to eat it, and then there's a stray dog that's actually going for the bread as well. And it seems like he's about ready to attack Kawaki. And Kawaki actually notices that this dog has an injury on his leg and actually tears a part of his gown off and actually gives it to the dog, wraps up his leg, which was a pretty nice scene. Shows that Kawaki still has a little bit of a caring nature within him, just slightly. Now this dog ends up appreciating Kawaki, as Kawaki basically gave up his only food at that point and gave it right to the dog that was also starving as well. So the dog starts following Kawaki, but Kawaki shoos him away because Kawaki doesn't trust anybody, but the dog actually repays Kawaki by actually getting some sausage from a nearby cook. The cook sees this, pursues the dog, tries to attack the dog as it runs away, and Sumire actually catches on to what's going on and follows. But anyways, the dog catches up to Kawaki, gives him sausage, the cook catches up and ends up injuring the dog, which this completely angers Kawaki. He actually modifies his arm, punches a hole through a nearby fence, and freaks out the guy, who calls him a monster, and he runs off. And that's when Sumire shows up. Sumire happens to have one of those healing sprays that she used on Boruto a little while back, and heals the dog. However, Kawaki wants nothing to do with the dog anymore at this point, shoos it away, and starts eating this sausage. And I thought this was really sad, because as the dog is walking away, it just looks so sad. Like it had bonded with Kawaki, and Kawaki just didn't care for it, and treated it like a mutt, and it just walked off sad. I don't know, that actually saddened me quite a bit when I saw that. Now, I actually really enjoyed the next scene where Sumire and Kawaki have a talk here. And essentially, Kawaki slightly trusts Sumire in this scene, even though he says he doesn't trust anybody. So Sumire actually talks about her past and how she was used as a weapon by her father and was about to destroy the Leaf Village, but it was thanks to Boruto and the others she was put on the right path. And the reason why she brings this up is because she could see that Kawaki might have had a painful past as well, and that she can relate. So that's why she felt like talking to him. Which I thought this was a really nice scene. I think it was really necessary. Because, obviously, these two characters, they both have tragic pasts. Obviously, Kawaki is probably a little bit more tragic. But, nonetheless, they both have tragic pasts. So I like the fact that the anime went ahead and did something like this. Unfortunately, things go downhill when Kawaki starts getting dizzy. So Sumire actually goes to give him a shot, a neutral supplement. But as soon as Kawaki sees this, he immediately reacts negatively and begins choking Sumire up against the fence, and as she begs Nue to stop. And as soon as this happens, Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki show up, along with the police, who immediately fire at Kawaki while Sumire is caught in the crossfire. And they're all sitting there like, "Don't shoot! You're gonna hurt the class rep!" And the police proceed to do that as Kawaki gets away, and Boruto ends up helping Sumire, who is injured as a result of the attack. And as all this is going on, Naruto and Sai arrive at the train station, and as they're walking into town, they see all the chaos going on. They're wondering what's going on. That's when Boruto shows up with an unconscious Sumire and explains the situation to Naruto and Sai. Sumire wakes up, and I thought this was a pretty interesting scene here, where Sumire basically begs Naruto to help Kawaki, as he's someone that was just like her, and he's not exactly doing this because he wants to. It's because of his past, and for Naruto to hear him out, which Naruto agrees to, which I thought was pretty cool. So Naruto goes out to find Kawaki. Now I gotta say, the police are dumb in this episode. First, they end up injuring Sumire, who's caught up in the crossfires when they're trying to aim at Kawaki, and then they're trying to set Kawaki on fire. Sarada attempts to stop these guys, but it's too late. They start burning Kawaki, and he ends up absorbing the flames with his karma seal. He's about ready to get his revenge and blast them, but also there's a bunch of innocent bystanders standing around as well. Literally, Kawaki was about to blow up part of this town. I don't think it would have been a blast as strong as the one in episode 189, as Kawaki is still weakened, but it probably would have done considerable damage and killed a lot of people. But at the last moment, Kawaki sees a small child, and he immediately sees this, changes his mind, and actually aims for a nearby building, which Naruto blocks, so no damage is caused, luckily. Thanks, Naruto. Naruto and Kawaki end up having a brief conversation as Kawaki attempts to fight Naruto, but ends up passing out, likely due to using that blast he probably overheated once again. So Kawaki is passed out and captured by Naruto. Boruto and Sumire have a quick conversation, in which she explains to Boruto that she sensed intense sadness within Kawaki, and that's where our episode comes to an end. So overall, I thought this episode was actually better than last week's episode. I do think it suffered from the same issues as last week's episode, where it had a boring and slow first part, and then the second half of the episode, it picked up the pace, it got more exciting and entertaining. But I think the reason why this episode is better than last week's episode is mainly in the writing, when it comes to Sumire and Kawaki. Because at the end of last week's episode, Sumire caught on to the fact that Kawaki has an intense sadness within him, and maybe has a tragic backstory, or tragic past. So she tries to reach out to Kawaki and talk to him, and relate with him. And I think that was pretty well done in this episode, because Sumire, she has a tragic past like Kawaki, maybe not as tragic, because at least she had some of her classmates before she betrayed them. Kawaki pretty much had nothing. He had absolutely nothing in his entire life. He was beaten as a child, then he got taken by Jigen, experimented on, and yeah, his life has been awful. His life has been literally a living hell. But I like the fact that these two characters were able to interact in this manner, and I think it was well done for the most part. Now, an interesting detail that I actually really liked in this episode was Kawaki, who seems like an emotionless tool of Kara, somebody that's been treated trash his entire life by everybody around him, and he has trust issues. Despite the fact he has all these issues and doesn't care about anybody, he shows a soft spot to certain people in this episode. He shows a soft spot to that dog with its injured hind leg, taking a part of his gown off to help it out. Or when he saw that kid towards the end of the episode, probably seeing a part of himself in that kid, and at the last minute, instead of blasting the kid away along with everybody else, ends up changing his mind and blasting a nearby building. So you see that Kawaki, despite having all these issues, he has a soft spot within him. There is a good person there. It's just that because of all these trust issues that he has with everybody, it comes out very rarely. So I did like this in this episode. Now, not to delve into manga spoilers, but one thing that I was a little iffy on this episode is when Naruto met Kawaki, because as a manga reader, this is not where they meet. So the anime is having Naruto and Kawaki meet earlier than they did in the manga. In addition to that, Naruto shows off his 6-pass Sage mode to Kawaki here, which I feel like it takes away from the impact for a certain scene that's coming up in the manga. I'm not going to go into details, but I just feel like doing it here kind of takes away slightly from that scene coming up in the future. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but I don't know, I was a little iffy on this scene. I think it was kind of nice overall, but just iffy on the whole Naruto showing off his 6-pass Sage mode to Kawaki here. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for the episode review. So overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode, so I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. So guys, in the comment section down below, post your thoughts. What did you think of the episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you thought. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I'll talk to you guys later.